Okay, so we're going to be looking at areas of parallelograms. We've previously looked at what a parallelogram is. And a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel and congruent. So here we have this nice parallelogram. If I have a rectangle, you probably remember that the area of a rectangle is base times height, right? Here's the base, here's the height. We just multiply these two sides together and get the area. Well, a rectangle is a type of parallelogram. So the area for any parallelogram is going to be the base times the height. But we have to be careful. Here, the base is 8 and the height is 4. This 5 is extra. Sometimes that's there to kind of confuse us. But what we're looking at is we're trying to find remember, we measure the height to be perpendicular to the base. Just like if you're being measured for height in the doctor's office, you stand up straight, perpendicular to the floor. So here, the area is equal to 8 times 4. So this gives us 32 units squared. It's important that when you have area, you square the units. So for example questions, we have here the area is equal to the base times the height. So that is 7 times 5.9. Well, we have 7 times 5.9. That gives us that the area is 41.3 yards squared, because yards times yards is yards squared, just like x times x is x squared. Here I have base times height, so I have 10 times 5, so the area is equal to 50 feet squared. Number 3, the area is again base times height, so this is 7.9 times 6.3, so the area is going to be 49.77 inches squared. And here this is another simple one, base times height, so we get 7 times 6, so the area is equal to 42 inches squared. Sometimes we can work backwards. So what if I'm given the area and I need to figure out a side? We'll start with the area equals base times height. So we get 120 is equal to 12h. So here the height is equal to 10 meters. For number 2, area is again base times height. So we get that the area is equal to, well, the area we know is 49.4. is equal to 9.5h. So we can do 49.4 divided by 9.5. So we get that the height is equal to 5.2 inches. For number 3, area is again base times height. So the area is 51.7 is equal to the base, which is 11, times the height. So if we do 51.7 divided by the 11, we get that the height is 4.7 feet. For number 4, area is equal to base times height. So 14 is equal to 4h. So h we can write as 7 over 2 miles, or if we want to write the decimal, it's 3.5 miles. Either one's okay. So simple enough? Let's make it more complicated. So here I have a crosswalk, and this is actually a poorly worded question, so we have to be careful with this. So the crosswalk has 2 stripes that are each 52 feet long. So these stripes right there. And they are the width at the curb is 16 feet. We want to find the perpendicular distance between each of those stripes. You may think, oh, it's going to be 16. Nope, not going to be 16. So, so what we want to do is, well, realize that this is 60 degrees. This is 52. I want to figure out what this side here is. actually, I want to figure out what this side is. So that side is going to be oh wait, no, sorry, I was right the first time. I want to figure out this distance because then I can make one big parallelogram. And you'll see in a second. So if here, if I do, this is the adjacent side, that's the hypotenuse. So if I do the cosine of theta is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, I have that the cosine of 60 is equal to x over 52. So that means that x is equal to 52 times the cosine of 60, which is 26. So this is 26. So what I want to figure out now is this height. And I can do that with the sine. So the sine of theta is equal to the hypotenuse. Oh, well, actually, let me call this height. Let me call this the opposite side. So it's the opposite side over the hypotenuse. So the sine of 60 is equal to the opposite side over the hypotenuse, which this is 52, as we said. So we have that 52 times the sine of 60. So we get that that opposite side is equal to 45.03. Okay. So this is 45.03. That's actually the height of this parabola. Or sorry, the height of this parallelogram. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out this distance there. So we're going to have to kind of think about what it is we're going to be looking for, because there are really kind of different ways of thinking about this. So I'm going to write on top of this again because I'm making a mess here. All right, so here's what I've done so far. I'm looking at this parallelogram right there. I figured out that this height is 45.03. So I can find the height of this I can find the area of this parallelogram by doing base times height. The base is 52. So the area is 52 times the height, which is 45.03. So the area of this parallelogram, which is base times height, that's going to be the 52 times the, oh, sorry, confusing myself, 16. This is the base, right? And this is the height because they're perpendicular. This is just a very tiny parallelogram there. So 16 times 45.03 is 720.48 feet squared. That is the area of this parallelogram. Now we can look at this parallelogram using different dimensions as well, because looking at this again in red, we can see, all right, well, 52 could be the base, and that's what I was confused about. And then this is the height. Well, in that case, this area is equal to 52 times the height. And that height is actually what we're looking for. So if we divide this answer by 52, we're going to get that that distance is equal to 13.86 feet. So actually looking back at this, I didn't need to find the cosine here. I started out doing this problem a different way, so I can just ignore that. So just to recap, what we did with this problem was we said, all right, we want to find the area of this parallelogram, the area of the crosswalk. Well, because we have a 60-degree angle, we can find the height using trig, which we've previously looked at. And so this height is going to be the sine of 60 times 52, and we got that this is equal to 45.03. The area of this parallelogram is then the base times the height, which we got to be 720.48. But we could look at this parallelogram from a different perspective. We could say that it is 52 is the base, and the height is this distance, but it should be the same area. So if I divide that area by the base of 52, I will get the height, which is the crosswalk. So a little bit multi-step problem to think about involving some old trig, but at the base, these area questions aren't too difficult. So make sure you know the formula and how to solve these, and you should be fine.